I don't know what the story was there. It just went to Pandora for no reason. It just went buggy. But yeah, anyway, this is part 2 of part 1 of the drive home on February 9th, 2023, National Pizza Day. So anyway, a couple years ago, I don't know if I knew this, something G, can't remember his name. He's I think it was Digital Underground, the Humpty Dance guy with the big nose. He died a couple years ago. I don't know if I knew that. He was 57. Why did it just suddenly go to Pandora for no reason? That's just wacky. So now, what do I do? Do I go to 22 minutes, or I guess I have to, because I have no way of knowing how long that first video was. It was like, I don't know, it was probably like 6 minutes, something like that. That's craziness. That's just wacky. Is this going to end again? Did someone send me a text message? I have no idea what's going on there. I'm kind of curious. Let's see what happens when I touch this. To messages. I don't know. Contacts, favorites, I don't know. Back to whatever it is we're doing here. Go to the trouble of splicing the two together. I shouldn't go to the trouble. I'll just post all 4. That'll teach me. A lot of people all gummed up together up here. Weaving in and out of lanes too. Good stuff. so frazzled by the video ending and suddenly ending that I've completely run out of things to say. Words that I had nothing to say to begin with, like I said in the previous video. Trying to think of a story, something to distract me from work. What's a good story? Told my stories about Egypt and the Sphinx and inside the Great Pyramid. I'm pretty sure I covered those. And I know I covered most of that. I might not have covered the Great Pyramid, but I think I did. So I don't want to tell half a story. If I'm going to tell the whole thing, I'll tell the whole thing later on when the first few videos have been forgotten. Chatty Cathy, sometimes I'm not. I'm using little anecdotes about the D&D game that I ran for a year and a half with the same crew. I've mentioned it before, but I don't think I ever mentioned in detail the storyline. It was a huge swinging arc, and they were fighting. They didn't know it the whole time, but they were fighting against Kronos, god of time, and it was because they were such random people, and like a bunch of them had never played D&D before, and like, you know, a lot of people who play D&D, like I explained before, like pretty rigidly, like, you know, they can see where the DM is taking you, and they'll just follow the line, you know, take the information that they gain from the bar and go rescue the princess, or, you know, deal with the gang of brigands that's been harassing the town. But no, not my crew. They would just go do whatever the heck they wanted. So, you know, I created worlds on the fly. But I tried to keep the I tried to keep the story on track as best I can, even though they were going off in random directions. And at some point, I stopped preparing so much because it didn't matter how much I prepared, I didn't get to use any of the content that I had prepared for the game, and they would just go do other things. But it's funny, it ended badly. The game ended badly. I believe the universe was destroyed, but like I knew they would get mad at me if I didn't write out the solution so that I could show them, like, this is it. Like, this is, like, you got, at the very end, they had to make a decision, and like, they had been given all the clues, but they made the wrong one. It was they were just I guess it was a bad night. It was a bad combinations of things, and we were wrapping up this particular story. It had gone on for a year and a half. We'd gotten to the climax, to the final decision, and I think a lot of people were upset that the story was ending, and they just, like, they didn't even think it through. They just made the decision, and it was the wrong one, and they destroyed causality. So, you know, it is what it is. But along the way, there was lots of funny characters and ongoing gags that were, I think, were great. Like, there was was a chest named Jim, and it was kind of like a bag of many things, but they were allowed to, anything they wanted, they could reach into it and pull out. But the downside is it was very dangerous. Like, depending on how powerful the object is, like, there's only so much you could do, and if you exceeded if you exceeded what the chest could handle, it would explode, like a nuclear bomb. So you could grab some powerful stuff out of it, but if you went too far, if you got too greedy, it would explode. It never exploded. They did get close. There was an NPC whose name would switch back and forth between Grog and Grim. He was just like, he was a heavy that they had around. Just helped the storyline go. So he was an NPC that I controlled, but he showed up, and oftentimes he was part of the party, or he would disappear for a while. But he was extremely powerful, and his item, his thing that he had was a never-ending stein of beer. Bottomless stein of beer. There were some nights we were playing and we would just, maybe we were drinking a little bit too much while we were playing, and we had some nights where the game just went off the rails. We just decided to do some crazy things, and at one point, I don't remember what the series of events were that led up to it, but I threw Star Trek into it. Somehow, through what they were doing, they ended up on the Starship Enterprise. One of the characters was carrying hallucinogenic mushrooms with them, so somehow they got them into a blender and they just sprayed them out. So then, not only did my characters have to play as if they were hallucinating, I had to play all of the members of the Star Trek. It was TNG, so it was Picard and crew, and I had to run them as if they were hallucinating, because we had just aerosolized all these hallucinogens on the Enterprise. So that was one of the nights that we called a do-over. Okay, we have to write this off. This night never happened. The next time we get together, we start back from where we were. But that was a really fun night. And then there was this one time when they broke the DM, who's me. It was about halfway through the adventure, and there was a room called the Jade Room, and it had hourglasses and portals, and the portals led back and forth through time. And they came up with this, I can't even remember how bizarre it was, but they came up with this thing where they were going to go back in time, do a thing, and it was basically it was breaking causality in a really bizarre way, and I had to stop the game because I had to I had to process what they had done so that I could continue the story. So I had to end, okay, you guys, give me 40 minutes to figure this out. So they were very proud that they had broken the DM. One time, I can't remember if it was my wife or it was one of the other girls, but we, like I said, we all had our drinks. At the time, I was drinking Corbett Canyon. So every week I'd show up with this giant bottle of Corbett Canyon. That was just for me. I would just I would just kill the bottle during the game. It was like every week I'd show up, I'd have my bottle of Corbett Canyon, and everybody else had their drinks, whatever they drank. I don't know if we had any straight edge people. My wife might have been straight edge, just because she had to drive us home. No, I think she would have a couple glasses of wine back then, I think. But I mean, we played for hours, and she's not a big drinker. So anyway, we're doing something, and something funny happens, and I can't remember what the funny thing was. But either my wife or one of the other girls, like, just did a spit take and just spit wine everywhere, and just got everyone except me, because I had my DM shield right there. So everybody was covered in red wine. It was really good. It's very, very funny. At one point, I think this is while we were playing D&D, again, not having anything to do with the game, but someone set a loaf of bread on fire inside the oven, and I'm not. Sometimes I'm not too quick on the upswing. Like, I don't understand what you're saying to me sometimes. And Amy had called me over. She's like she's trying to explain that, like, the bread's on fire. I was like, yeah. And then she had to say, Chris, actual flames. Like, oh yeah. So I just grab it and I take it outside. The first time I ever saw the X-Files was at that house, their house near Franklin Mills, where we played D&D. We walked in one day, and it was the episode where that guy, I think it's the one where the guy, it was the liver guy, he ate livers or whatever, and he maybe came out every 10 or 30 years or something like that, and hunted down people and ate their livers. We happened to walk into the house during the scene. I'm pretty sure it's the same episode. I might have it confused with some cancer guy episode, but we walked in at the scene where he was regurgitating himself. I guess he was molting, and it was like this really poorly done CGI of him just vomiting up himself and the rest of him falling away. And we walk in, we look at the TV, and, like, my wife says, "What are we watching?" Because it's a weird scene to walk in on. It's like one of the weirdest scenes in the X-Files, this guy just vomiting himself up. I've said, I know they did bring Mulder and Scully back, but I always thought a great way to bring them back would be to go back to that cave episode where they were knocked out by the mold, because when they were rescued, like, they pointed out right in the show the inconsistency that for as long as they were down there, they should have been more damaged. They should have been more dissolved from the mold that was down there, and they weren't. So I think a great way to reboot that show with Scully and Mulder would have been to go back to that episode and literally have them rescued, and, like, then have them be as worse for wear as they should have been. Like, maybe not have them in there as long as they were, but, like, it actually started there. Because then anything you're not happy with after that episode can just be wiped clean. Start, I'm making pretty good time here. I'm on the turnpike now, but after I end this and start it again, I will be on, or very close to, 422. cops everywhere. There's Popo all over the place. Remember, kids, snitches get stitches. Got to find out how much I spend a day on tolls. Can you write off tolls? If you have a 9-to-5er? Oh crap. All right, this is the end of part 2 of part 1. Have a wonderful day.